Book title, Good to Great. Author Jim Collins. About the book. Based on a rigorous 5-year research study analyzing 1,435 Fortune 500 companies, Collins and his team identified 11 companies that transitioned from being merely good to outperforming the market by at least 3 times over a 15-year period. The book investigates what set these companies apart from others that remained average or declined. At the heart of the book is Collins' belief that good is the enemy of great. Many companies settle for being good and never strive for more. He argues that greatness is not a matter of luck or circumstance, but of conscious choice and discipline. Who is it for? Business leaders, executives, entrepreneurs, founders, managers, and aspiring leaders that want to learn how to lead with humility, implement disciplined processes, and drive progressive and sustainable results. In Good to Great summary review, you'll learn why aiming for a breakthrough moment will lead your company to ruin, why a charismatic leader can be a liability, what great companies and hedgehogs have in common. Book summary. This is a seminal work in business literature, exploring what it takes for a good company to become a truly great one and to sustain that greatness over time. At the heart of Collins' thesis is the idea that good is the enemy of great. This provocative statement suggests that complacency with being good enough often prevents organizations from achieving true excellence. The book sets out to debunk myths about greatness, revealing that extraordinary results are not the product of lucky breaks, high-profile leaders, or revolutionary technologies, but instead emerge from a consistent application of key principles Collins outlines in a structured framework. At the helm are level 5 leaders who combine humility with strong will, focusing on long-term success rather than ego. Success begins with getting the right people on the team before deciding strategy. Great companies confront harsh realities honestly while maintaining faith. They focus deeply on their hedgehog concept, the intersection of passion, excellence, and economic drivers. Discipline is vital, both in culture and action, with technology serving as a momentum accelerator, not a driver. Growth builds steadily like a flywheel, avoiding quick fixes that trap companies in a doom loop. Collins' rigorous research shows greatness is deliberate and sustained through disciplined choices. Though some critiques exist, the principles remain broadly relevant across leadership and personal growth, emphasizing that greatness is a conscious choice. From good enough to greatness. The central question driving the book is this: can a good company become a great one? And if so, how? Collins and his research team spent 5 years studying 11 companies that did just that. Companies that weren't always extraordinary, but transformed themselves and outperformed the market significantly for at least 15 years. Surprisingly, these companies didn't rely on dramatic strategies, massive change initiatives, or superstar CEOs. Instead, they all followed a common set of principles, which Collins calls the Good to Great framework. One of the most important findings in this framework is what Collins calls level 5 leadership. Unlike flashy, charismatic CEOs who dominate headlines, level 5 leaders are humble, quiet, and deeply driven not by personal success, but by the success of their company. They possess a rare mix of personal humility and intense professional will. They don't boast about their accomplishments or seek attention. Instead, they give credit to others when things go well and take full responsibility when things go wrong. Collins concludes that level 5 leaders are not born from ego or fame, but from a deep desire to build something enduring. While not everyone has the potential to become a level 5 leader, many more people than we realize likely have the capacity. It's just often buried beneath ego or never fully nurtured. Right people first, brutal truths always. Jim Collins emphasizes 2 core principles behind a company's transformation: getting the right people on board before defining strategy, and always facing the brutal facts of reality. He explains that the best leaders don't start with a grand vision. They start by building a great team. With the right people, motivation takes care of itself, direction can shift more easily, and success is more sustainable. Having great people in place allowed these companies to adapt quickly, remain resilient, and stay aligned even through challenges. Using examples like Kroger versus NP, Collins shows that successful companies accept reality without sugarcoating. Great leaders create environments where truth is welcomed by asking questions, encouraging debate, conducting open autopsies of mistakes without blame, and developing systems that make bad news impossible to ignore. They balance realism with an unwavering belief they will ultimately prevail. A concept Collins calls the Stockdale paradox, named after Admiral Jim Stockdale, who survived brutal captivity during the Vietnam War by confronting reality and holding on to faith. Together, these chapters show that greatness starts not with a plan or a charismatic figure, but with the right team and a culture where truth, no matter how painful, is faced head-on. Only then can a company or even a life be truly built to endure and thrive. Discipline over dictatorship. Collins explains that great companies don't succeed just by being innovative or lucky. They build a culture of discipline, which means having the right people who manage themselves and work within a clear, simple system. He contrasts this with companies that try to fix problems by adding rules, processes, and layers of management, which often kill creativity and push away the best people. Companies like Abbott Laboratories and Nucor did this well by mixing freedom with accountability. People had room to act, but were held responsible for outcomes. These companies stayed focused on what they could be the best at, were passionate about, and could make money doing what Collins calls the hedgehog concept. Collins also stresses the power of saying no to the wrong things. They make bold choices, cut distractions, and stick fiercely to their core strengths. In short, greatness doesn't come from being flashy or led by rockstar CEOs. It comes from building a culture where disciplined people work with disciplined thought and take disciplined action, all within a simple but powerful framework that keeps them focused, consistent, and resilient through change. How great companies build momentum over time. Collins explores how truly great companies achieve long-term, sustainable greatness not through dramatic, flashy moments or sudden breakthroughs, but through a steady, deliberate, and disciplined buildup of momentum over time. He introduces the metaphor of the flywheel, a heavy wheel that initially takes enormous effort to push, but eventually gains its own momentum and spins faster and more easily with each additional turn. This image becomes a powerful representation of how companies go from being good to great. Every push, no matter how small, matters. It's not one defining action that leads to greatness, but the cumulative effect of many small, consistent steps over time. These companies do not seek overnight success. In fact, from the inside, these transformations feel boringly methodical. There is no miracle moment, no big launch, and no instant payoff. Often, the world only notices these companies after they've already achieved momentum once the flywheel is spinning fast. But long before that, they were quietly turning that wheel, step by step, decision by decision. Collins calls out companies like Circuit City and Nucor, who were viewed by the media as overnight successes, even though they had spent years preparing and pushing before they broke through. From the inside, transformation felt more like evolution than revolution. The world saw the final sprint, but not the marathon that preceded it. How great leaders build momentum and sustain it over time. Collins found that leaders of great companies didn't focus on motivating people or managing resistance to change. When people see real progress, they naturally align. Success generates belief, which fuels more action and results. This cycle builds organically. People push harder because they see it's working, not because they've been hyped or persuaded. To make this happen, companies must be led by level 5 leaders who are rare individuals who combine deep humility with intense professional will. These leaders don't seek credit or attention, nor do they aim to be seen as visionaries. They focus on results, surround themselves with the right people first, confront brutal facts without losing faith, and base decisions on 3 key factors: what they can be best at, what they are deeply passionate about, and what drives their economic engine, known as the hedgehog concept. Chapter 9 connects these ideas with Collins' other major work, Built to Last. While Good to Great explains how companies transform from mediocrity to excellence, Built to Last examines how some sustain greatness for decades or centuries. The two books are sequential. First, become great through the flywheel effect, then strive to be enduring institutions. To achieve long-term durability, companies must have a core ideology, a set of authentic, consistently upheld, non-negotiable values, and a purpose beyond profit. At the same time, they must stimulate progress. Collins calls this balance, preserve the core, stimulate progress. Companies like Disney, Hewlett-Packard, and Merck maintain their founding values while evolving strategies, products, and business models over time. From small steps to big leaps. Collins redefines bags as a concept linking good to great and built to last. In Built to Last, bags are inspiring long-term goals, but Good to Great adds that these goals should arise from deep understanding rather than ego or hype, aligning with the hedgehog concept. Great bags, like Boeing's move into commercial aircraft, are bold, evidence-based leaps driven by passion and insight. Collins emphasizes that the flywheel model isn't reserved for companies with ideal conditions. Many great companies began under difficult circumstances, Circuit City near bankruptcy, Fannie Mae losing millions daily, but they chose discipline over shortcuts. Abbott Laboratories, for example, used internal blue plans to pursue ambitious growth while protecting long-term investments, outperforming rivals who chase quick fixes and flashy acquisitions. A profound truth Collins highlights is that when a company is on the flywheel path, the need to motivate people fades. Results build belief, and as momentum grows, people naturally want to help spin the flywheel faster. At Kroger, leaders didn't rely on motivational campaigns. They took steady action, showing a winning direction until everyone aligned. Finally, Collins challenges us to consider not just how to build greatness, but why. Greatness is more than big companies or profits. It's about purpose, pride, and meaningful work. These principles apply broadly, whether leading a sports team, a classroom, a nonprofit, or a startup. The story of a high school cross-country team cultivating a winning culture through flywheel thinking without hype or gimmicks proves this. Final notes. Good to Great is not a silver bullet. It does not offer a step-by-step recipe for transforming any organization overnight. Instead, it is a deeply researched, logically structured, and powerfully argued case for the timeless principles that enable organizations and individuals to rise above mediocrity. It reminds us that greatness is possible, but only for those willing to lead with humility, act with discipline, and think with clarity. Whether you are at the helm of a company, starting a new venture, or simply trying to be better tomorrow than you were today, Good to Great offers a blueprint, not just for transformation, but for significance. In conclusion, in a world obsessed with quick wins and instant results, Jim Collins offers a timeless message. Greatness takes time, patience, and purpose. For anyone serious about creating lasting value professionally or personally, this book is a must-read and a powerful companion on the journey from good to truly great. Author's biography. James C. Jim Collins, ill as a business consultant, author, professor, and speaker on sustainability and business growth. Collins received a BS in mathematical sciences from Stanford University and subsequently obtained his MBA, followed by 18 months as a consultant to McKinsey & Company. He then worked as a product manager for Hewlett-Packard. Collins began his career as a researcher and professor at the Graduate School of Business at Stanford University, where he received the Distinguished Teaching Award in 1992. In 1995, he founded a management laboratory in Boulder, Colorado, where he now conducts research and teaches executives from the corporate and social sectors. During that time, Collins served as a senior executive at CNN International and also worked with social sector organizations such as Johns Hopkins School of Medicine. That wraps up today's episode of Light Up Book Review. We believe you've gained valuable insights and lessons that can inspire and empower you on your journey to growing from good to great. Kindly join us again next Saturday at 7 a.m. West Africa time for another inspiring book review. Remember, Light Up Book Review is your opportunity to stay connected to powerful ideas that can propel you toward self-discovery and fulfillment. Have an adventurous weekend.